Imagine there's an operator that I tell you don't have to build at all. That the moment you pull or recruit for this operator, you already have the best, most usable version of this unit. You don't have to imagine anymore because that person is Kafka. A lot of times people attribute strong units as those that can dish out a lot of damage, but Kafka isn't about that. Instead, we consider Kafka as one of the queens of utility. Her first talent states that when skill is active, reduce block count to 0 so no one can be blocked by her at all, and gain camouflage, a very powerful trait. Now her first skill reads that after deployment, stops attacking enemies and inflicts slumber or sleep onto all nearby ground enemies for 5 seconds. When the skill ends, deal 250% arts damage to all nearby ground enemies. So here's where the magic happens. Normally, when you increase any skill rank at all, you'll see numbers increase. Just as you see Kafka skill 2, which I haven't read yet, and I increase this, you can see that the arts damage increases, the duration of time also increases. So you would pretty much expect the same over here. No, it doesn't happen. If you actually increase this to skill rank 2, 3, 4, and 5, you notice that the damage increases, but the amount of sleep time stays the same. And you gotta understand something about these 5 seconds. 5 seconds is a lot of time. If you compare her to some other utility operators, Texas, the Vanguard version at M3, only stands for 3 seconds. Project Red at M3 as well also stands for 3 seconds. If you do it on Phantom on his skill 3, that stands for 4.5 seconds at M3. And yet, this Kafka is cooking a full-on 5 seconds even already at skill rank 1. So with 5 seconds sleep being the main ingredient, let me show you some recipes beginning with DMEX6. First thing to understand is that when you put Kafka down and retreat her immediately, all you will inflict is the sleep, and no arts damage by the side. This is why the Sarkaz world cursors are still not alerted. In this stage, ideally, you do want to kill them as soon as possible. So this time, I'm going to place Kafka back down and wake them up after a good night's sleep. This will funnel the world cursors into Blaze, which Blaze will take some time to kill them even with a skill up because they have a lot of HP. So I've brought along Skadi Outer and Warframe in order to buff Blaze and kill these guys quicker. There are also heavy defender leaders which have high defense, so the extra attack buff that I'm giving to Blaze helps to penetrate their defense better. So here's where we're going to give the gameplay a pause as we understand sleep mechanic together. Sleep is very similar to stun, whereby the enemies can no longer attack. The difference lies in the fact that your operators cannot attack back, unless they bypass this condition with people like Blemishine and Erato. When enemies are put to sleep, they also lose the ability to be blocked. So we're going to see right in action over here. Blaze is my only damage dealer on this map. For the bigger guys, it takes very long to kill. But for the smaller mobs, it takes just about 2 or 3 slashes of Blaze to eliminate them. Blaze is only able to attack up to a block count, that is 3 enemies. The 4th and the 5th enemy coming into her range will not get attacked. And the big issue now is she's about to block all of the bigger guys at once. I can't allow that to happen, so what I'm gonna do is to drop Kafka down and make the big heavy defender leader to be unblocked by Blaze. This makes Blaze refocus onto the other enemies instead, helping to eliminate the smaller mobs and then focusing on the bigger ones again. I did this mechanic several times on this stage, especially against the Gates because they can't be blocked at all. I need Blaze to focus all her attention onto them. So whenever they're coming into range, I actually place Kafka down and then Blaze will use her extended range to reach onto them. Like stun operators, you can use Kafka as a way to hold enemies back so as to not overwhelm your defenses. As you see here, Blaze isn't done killing the first demolitionist and there's already a second one coming in. So I use Kafka as a way to stall this second one and then give Blaze enough time to kill the first one before handling another one. 2 demolitionists onto Blaze is definitely gonna kill her, but she's gonna die anyways because the Flag Bearer wakes up and gives the demolitionist too high of an attack boost. The simplest way to use Kafka is of course to stall, and one of the enemies that's especially weak against that is the Reapers. In this stage, the way that I've triggered the Reapers is by using Horn. Then, I use both Gravel and Kafka to hold onto them. Gravel has very high HP so she's able to hold onto the enemy, and then afterwards I use Kafka's 5 second sleep to further stall him down. Kafka is of course a great addition to the fast redeploy gang, and when you have a lot of them in play, you can actually do some form of a perma stall strat. Take for instance this stage that I'm playing, RIEX8, and I'm basically bullying the boss by constantly rotating fast redeploys onto him. This is one of the solutions that people might take when it comes to clearing high-risk CCs or even clearing stages that they struggle in. If you happen to own a large arsenal of fast redeploys, you can basically do this fun strat of just simply rotating them on and on so as to hold on to elite mobs or bosses. Top it up with additional damage dealers from afar in order to peel away the HP of such enemies. So from what you've seen of Kafka, the fact that she has a very strong skill 1 and is the very often used skill, she is pretty much an operator where you either leave her at E0 or you E2 her. Nothing in between, no Elite 1. Of course, if you already own an Elite 1 Kafka, that's alright. If you're still holding on to an Elite 0 Kafka, my suggestion is to leave it alone. Don't promote to Elite 1. The reason for that is that when you do so, most operators get increased DP costs to compensate for the fact that they're getting stronger, which Kafka gets 2 additional DP costs. Hence, leaving at E0 is actually better. It's a very rare advice to mention. But the only time that I will say to go all the way up to Elite 2 is if you want Kafka for the sake of damage, both on her skill 1 and the skill 2. So I'm going to showcase to you guys when will you actually use skill 2. So skill 2 reads that after deployment, immediately deals 300% attack as arts damage to all enemies who's within a target tile. And for 12 seconds, all those people in that tile will receive arts damage. So we're going to see it in play against the left-handed Titans over here. He's going to spawn in just a little bit, and what I'm going to do is to use Kafka against him so as to add a bit more damage in order to kill him a lot quicker. So you can see that all going in, and then you can retreat her whensoever. And this is a very nice supportive damage that you can do whensoever you're in a pickle and you realize the enemy might be weak to arts damage. So just like that, I've already downed him, perfectly simmered and cooked by Kafka. I'm just gonna leave Taunts and Blue Poison to handle left-handed Titans on their own. And yeah, Mountain is struggling here because there's just so many of these crabs. So what I'm gonna do is to use Kafka to support that. Add a bit more damage so that my poor Mountain doesn't struggle over there. Just gonna add another Jammer here. And yeah, just like that, left-handed Titans will be eliminated soon enough. And now there's 2 Shielder guys, and Mountain isn't very good against them because they're not weak to physical damage, they're weak to arts damage. So I'm just gonna plonk in a Kafka, again, give more supportive damage, eliminate those guys over there, and then retreat her. So it's kind of like owning a mini Surtur is the way that I might describe how Kafka is being used. Right, we've still got a Raptor that's going in. I don't know if Blue Poison will eliminate him in time, she might not. It's okay. All I'm showcasing over here is Kafka and not Blue Poison. And that's that. And that's all the things that you need to know about Kafka. Hopefully this video has helped you to discover that you might just already have a strong operator in your account. If you happen to have a friend that already owns a Kafka, show them this video and let them know that they shouldn't be sleeping on Kafka.